So I pulled you online this last week and I said, what kind of video do you want to see? Do you want to see another random D&D character idea, or do you want to see a different type of video? And you answered, you said another random D&D character idea. Let's begin. We're going to create a really random character this week. We're going to be using a lot of different methods. Like I'm going to be using some cards that I'm going to be throwing around. I'm going to be using some dice. I'm going to be using, my wife is going to be a factor in it at some point or another. You'll see. However, the first thing we need to do is we need to pick a name. Here we have one of the best name generators in all of the internet. It's called Fantasy Name Generators. So let's do it. I guess we'll just go to fantasy names, and that's a lot of lists. So I'm just going to randomly, while not looking at it, wave my mouse over it and see what we get. Dwarf names. I wonder if we'll get a dwarf. Bagonlier Barrel Miner. Looks good. Now let's get on to the next part, which is going to be selecting our class.
So here are the cards that I'm going to be throwing. The goal is that I'm going to be throwing them and trying to slot them in between the top of the shelf and the top of the books. And if I slot multiple of them, well, then I'll collect those cards and I'll just keep rethrowing until after each set, only one of them remains.
It seems I vastly overestimated my ability to slot them where I said I was going to. If I don't make any of them, I'll just take whatever gets closest to the point that I was aiming at. I was truly not expecting that, but I don't even know what it is yet. Let's see. The classic fighter. We did all this work for the fighter. No, but seriously, I think fighters are cool. I'm excited about it. Let's move on to what race am I going to be? So for the next part of the video, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be folding all of the different races up. There are a lot of D&D races, by the way. I'm going to be putting them in this cup, and my wife is going to be picking them at random. Let's see what she picks. I, in fact, needed a larger receptacle. Okay, Mrs. Wife, here's the rules. Yes, there's your hand. I need you to reach into the bowl without looking. Pick one. One. There we go. Okay. Ooh. A halfling. Thank you. So according to my research on D&DBeyond, there are 6 subraces of halflings. I'm going to roll a d6 because I feel like rolling a d6 in real life is more random than rolling one on a computer. 3. D&DBeyond, a 3 translates to 1, 2, 3, a Lotus Den halfling. I'm going to have to look up what the Lotus Den Greenwood is. Okay, now to get the fighter subclass. So I'm going to go over to D&DBeyond and I'm going to see what the subclasses of the fighter are because I only know a couple off the top of my head. Okay, we've got the Arcane Archer, the Battlemaster, the Cavalier, the Champion, the Echo Knight, the Eldritch Knight, the Gunslinger, the Psy Warrior, the Purple Dragon Knight, and the Rune Knight and the Samurai. Let's load these into a spinny wheel and let it decide what we get. Let's see. What is it going to be? I'm actually kind of excited. A Psy Warrior fighter. A Psy Warrior Lotus Den halfling fighter. I got no idea. So the last piece to the puzzle here is, what is our background going to be? Now, there are something like over 90 backgrounds. I think there's 93. So I put them all into a table. So just for giggles, why don't we roll a d100 and see what background it gives us? Unfortunately, this die takes a long time to roll, and I'm pretty sure it's unbalanced. But regardless, it gave us a 16, so let's check the chart. I've got them all listed here. We just need to scroll up a little bit, and it looks like it's a criminal from Baldur's Gate. So here's our D&D character. Finally, at last we see it. A Lotus Den halfling Psy Warrior fighter with a Baldur's Gate criminal background. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read over all of these specific things. Literally, I got to do research. I don't even know what a Lotus Den halfling is. Let's see what it turns into. But before that, I've recently been dabbling my stubby little fingers in the DMs Guild. So if you want to get some free adventure hooks for your D&D game, go ahead and check out my DMs Guild page. I'll be linking it down below. And I've made something called the Adventure Machine. It's a vending machine that gives you adventure. I'm not going to explain it anymore. If you want to go check it out, it's pay what you want, and which means you can have it for free if you want. Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Now back to the video. Bagonlier Barrel Miner was a halfling who lived deep in the Lotus Den Greenwood. There in the forest was a small tribe of halflings, humans, and half-elves who foraged a little community together. Bagonlier was a troublemaker ever since he was a young boy, constantly picking fights, stealing, and generally causing trouble in town. One day, he was walking about and he looked into the window of one of the community elders' houses. He saw that the lights were off and there was a slight purple glow emanating through the keyhole of a small chest. Looking around, he saw no one was watching, so he snuck into the elder's window. Getting on his hands and knees, he quickly fidgeted with his thieves' tools and picked the lock of the small chest. Inside there was a pearl sitting on a small pillow. It glowed with a soft, emanating light. At first he thought it best to leave it be, but something compelled him to reach out and touch it. With a sparkle of greed in his eyes, his hands moved closer to it. The moment his fingers touched the soft round surface of the pearl, he felt a large spark. The electricity jolted through his body and sent him flying back through the wall of the house. As he slid across the ground of the earth, he drew much attention, and many gathered around him, while he fell unconscious. After regaining consciousness hours later, he was bound in the inner courtroom of the town council. His parents were pleading. He doesn't remember much of what they said, but they were asking that the council would have mercy on him. The council members discussed his fate with low whispers before falling silent.
Exile,
one of them said with a stoic reverberation. The next few days were a blur, but he was given his things. His parents gave him as much of his inheritance as they could muster up, and he was sent on his way. As he made his way through the dense lotus den greenwood, he felt a pulsing of energy flickering around his body. When he would sleep at night, he could see he was casting a dim light on the surrounding trees, a dim purple light that would flicker while his eyes were half shut. With a great danger in the forest, he developed an uncanny ability to walk while leaving almost no trace of where he'd been. Eventually, he found his way to Baldur's Gate, a metropolis compared to the boring, quaint life of the Lotus Den Greenwood. Quickly, he found himself in the ring of a gang, the Zentarim. The more he pushed himself, the more crimes he committed, the more impassioned he found himself, the greater this purple flicker of light came out of his hands and eyes. He soon grew the nickname Flicker because of it. One night, he decided to go into a tavern to settle down for the evening. While he sat inside, he overheard a discussion at a table nearby. The low rumbling voices discussed the halfling boy that tried to mug them and how easily he was dispatched. This sparked something inside of Flicker. With his eyes glowing with a purple lightning, he turned around and waved his hand. An explosion of force sent one of them flying into the wall. It was at that moment that he saw that they were dressed in royal clothing, surrounded by multiple guards. Quickly realizing he was outmatched, he bolted to the door. The guards started to rush after him as he ran into an alley. He turned a corner and he felt a telekinetic push drive him dozens of feet forward. Rapidly looking around, he noticed a small sewer grate which he climbed into and quietly waited. Realizing there was surely a price on his head, he only knew that he should leave town and try to start again. You can find a D&D Beyond link for Flicker in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you like this video. I put a lot more effort into it than I normally do, but I think that I honestly had just a more fun time doing it. So if you like this video, leave a like, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, you know, all that stuff. I'm over on TikTok as well if you want to follow me on TikTok, @GentryPerry. But I make new D&D videos on YouTube every week and I put out YouTube shorts constantly, so subscribe for that if nothing else. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Good luck out there, adventurer.